Meeting. It's Monday, August 9th, 2021. It's 5 o'clock and it's the regular Housing Authority meeting. Attorney Souza, will you call or will you say the open meeting law, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The language of the open meeting law is as follows. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you. Martha, roll call, please.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Here.
Vice Chairman Underhill.
Here.
Commissioner Burns is absent. Commissioner Tache.
Here.
Commissioner Bentley. Here.
The first item on our agenda this evening is citizens' input. Do we have anyone here that has any input for us? Seeing none, the second item is resident input. Do we have any residents' input this evening?
Madam Chair, I'm going to just say in behalf of Ed Gagnon that all commissioners have a listing of what's been taking place in the last month as far as the residents are concerned about what's been going on with the food programs, etc. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. If not, we can move on to the next item.
Does anyone have any questions for Commissioner Underhill? Anyone out in the audience? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. The next item is the minutes of the regular meeting held on July 12th, 2021. The recommended action is to accept. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 2 on the agenda is the bills and communications. The vouchers are included in your packet. The recommended action here is to accept. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any questions regarding the vouchers? Hearing no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 3 is the management reports. You have in your packet the 7 management reports that are prepared for us. Item 1 is the applications, 2 is the occupancy reports, 3 are the tenant accounts receivable reports, 4 are the work order report, 5 is the monthly Section 8 voucher activity report, 6 is the monthly personnel report, and 7 is the Director of Modernization monthly report. Do I have a motion to accept these reports?
So moved. Second.
Any questions with regard to the staff that are here with regard to any one of these particular reports? Hearing no questions, do I have a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item are the financial reports. These are from the Director of Finance. Included in your packet are the financial reports for June 30, 2021, the State Quarterly Modernization Report for the period ended June 30, 21, as well as the State Quarterly Operating Report for the same period ended June 30, 21. The recommended action is approval of these reports.
Move for adoption. Second.
Any questions or concerns with regard to any of these 3 reports? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, Executive Director.
Yep,
An
thank you,
update
Madam.
from yourself.
Sure will. Thank you very much. Update on a few items. Regarding the Watuppa site, I prepared a letter that I sent to the mayor and the city council requesting that the committee to review various options from the community on the spending of the ARP funds, that's the American Recovery Plan, that they take into consideration funding some of the development at Watuppa. So that communication was received by the city council and actually presented at one of their meetings. and the city council forwarded to the committee, which involves housing, and that's a committee. The three councilors on that committee are Councilor Liberté Lebeau, Councilor Lee, and Councilor Dion. So it's in front of them for consideration, and hopefully we'll get some feedback on that. The next thing regarding staying on with TUP is we've arranged a meeting with Senator Rodericks to discuss the situation again in light of the fact that the state has $450 million of ARP funds. And the Department of Housing has identified about $20 million in needs for Maple Gardens, Bishop Eade, and Corky Road. So we're going to be meeting with him to discuss funding for those sites in the state portfolio, and that'll happen next Monday. Moving on to closer to home, tenant receivables. The staff has been in discussions for a few months now about looking at the way we process tenant payments and how that affects the tenants and the workloads of the staff. So we've looked into an automated tenant application system, and it has several benefits to the residents, to the staff. It affords various payment methods to be made. And I'd like to, at this time, have the Director of Finance, Amber Burns, brief the Board of Commissioners on what this new program can do and hopefully will do when we roll it out. Amber?
Hello, everyone. Yes, as Tim said, we met with MRI. It's a software company that will be integrated directly with HAB, which is the software that we use in the office. It will basically give the tenants 5 different payment options, 3 of them at no cost to them other than postage. There will be an online debit and credit card payment as well option for them. I think that this is huge for the residents. It'll make everything more efficient for them, efficient for the office. It also will have an online portal so they can check their balances at any given time. They can make as many payments a month as they'd like to. It'll offer them email and text reminders so that they don't forget about their balances. There's an auto pay option so that they don't even have to look at their accounts. Kind of like many of us have with our utility companies, it'll kind of just come right out of the account for them. But then if, like I said, if they want to pay on a monthly basis like they are continuing to do, this will just give them a more efficient process and option for them that we don't currently offer. It'll be around $14,000 annually. It will cover all of the units, and it's about 50 cents per unit that we have. And it's not necessarily the units that we that use the service, it will be the units overall, but it also will include marketing, so getting the word out there to the residents. The actual MRI software team will help us implement that. There will be email blasts that go out. There will be different seminars for them to learn how to use the system as well. There's a credit reporting app portion of it where it'll, as soon as they make a positive payment towards their rent, they can report that to the credit bureau to bump their credit ratings up. The other big one is MoneyGram. Right now a lot of the tenants use MoneyGram, and they go there, they get their check, and they mail it to us. With this service that they can go and get their MoneyGram, it'll automatically ACH to us versus them having to mail it out, so that'll also streamline that for them. Overall, it kind of just seems like it'll make their lives a lot easier when trying to pay their rent.
Yeah, in your packet, I believe, was a handout with the various benefits of the program. Additionally, we're going to be able to modify the current position. The clerk who applies the payments, that position, upgrade that position to a few more skills to do with research of payments, maybe reaching out to tenants with back rents. So it has a lot of enhancements. Like anything, it's a new step, but it is moving up to the current world of everyone uses their phone. I mean, the last time I wrote a check was a very long time ago. So I think most of the tenants are in that field too. It has online support 24/7. If there's any issue, the resident can call. We're going to investigate actually maybe putting a computer in the community room that would solely be dedicated to making a payment. So, we're really looking forward to this system. I know all the staff is thrilled about it, the management, accounting. So, if there's any questions?
When will this be in effect?
Amber?
So the implementation takes anywhere from, due to COVID, it takes anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, and that's implementation of kind of integrating our software, their software, and then also getting it out to the residents so they know when to access it, how to access it. But as soon as those, like I said, 4 to 6 weeks are up, it's kind of just a go. And like I said, they have given us a lot of video proof to show like exactly what needs to happen. I have like the how-to steps. I know we wanted to make sure that you guys were in the positive of this idea as well. But as soon as we decide we want to do it, it's anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, and then we can start it.
That's great.
Is this optional for all the tenants?
Yes. And it'll take rent payments and then also any back payments for anyone who still owes and also moved out as well.
That's great. It's a big step for the tenants. Thank you.
Is the company going to be able to merge what you currently have, or are you going to need to do all the input?
So it will have a merge feature, but they will have like an export and import. Unfortunately, HAB doesn't work directly with the MRI software that we're going to be using. However, they said it takes anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. If we get 500 payments, it could take up to a minute to import. So.
Oh, I was thinking the original data, so the accounts, the tenants.
Oh, yes, yep. So we're basically going to give them our full rent rolls and the chart of accounts for all of the tenants, and they will be importing that. And then each
Okay.
tenant will have their own.
So you won't have to input them all.
Yep, nope. They'll be handling all of that for us.
Great, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Amber. And staying with receivables, a few months ago, I guess, I mentioned that we had started utilizing the SHARA program, which is a fund set up by the state to, I believe the ARP funds provided the monies to help with any tenant suffering rent delinquency due to COVID. So as of today, we've collected almost $90,000.
Oh, wow.
Which is about 1/4 of our total receivables. So the staff is doing a great job of reaching out, contacting the residents who were impacted by COVID, and it's making a substantial dent in a backlog of rents. So we're marching forward with that program. It's a very streamlined program, and it's definitely working out. As far as, and I was, I don't think anybody really wants to talk about COVID. I thought we were over with it, as I'm sure everyone else did. But with the new Delta strain coming on, we've looked at some of the issues we may be facing. So I know Ed will be talking with the maintenance staff this week, as well as Deb Morissette talking with the administrative staff about maybe some precautions that we can take in vacant, occupied units, as far as mask wearing and whatnot. Voluntarily ask residents when they're in the building to wear masks. Nothing as draconian as we did several months ago. We will be requiring new employees to be vaccinated. That is something we can do because they're not employees yet, so we will be requiring that as we move forward. And we'll be having discussions with the union on maybe some other measures that we can take in-house regarding current employees. But as everyone else is doing, we're keeping our eyes on the news to see what developments and what comes out of the governor's office. So that is my report for this evening.
I do have one question. I noticed that you sent the email last Friday with regard to canceling the annual employee outing. Is that indoors? Is that why you decided to cancel it, or is that outdoors? And I'm just wondering, I know this new strain is kind of affecting people, but what is...
Right. Well, typically we do have it outdoors. It's right in the parking lot to your left. We have it at tables where people are congregated. And again, it's just out of caution where we don't know who's vaccinated, who is not vaccinated. So I look at it more as being on hold, and we'll just see how things develop. But it is, even though it's outdoors, it usually, again, it does lend itself to congregating, sitting at tables, and we do require it of employees, so I'd hate to put employees in that position. So I thought it would be easier to just put on hold than to maybe deal with all the small issues that would come up by changing the venue.
Certainly. Understood.
How about the other cookouts that are coming up before it?
Well, we have the resident cookouts, they're ongoing. Those are strictly voluntary. It's up to the resident to attend or not attend. I don't know if Joey started offering delivery, if you will, like cook and leave. But I look at that as a different venue, whereas the employee cookout is a mandatory event, if you will, because it is a work function. So the resident cookouts are pretty much like someone inviting you over to their house for a weekend cookout. You have the choice to go, not to go, wear a mask or not wear a mask.
Can I ask Joey how he's handling it?
You can. You can.
Yes, please.
So to get back, this cookout takes place here is for O'Brien residents and the employees. We do a dual cookout. So if you stop the cookout for the employees, that means you're stopping it for the residents. That's discrimination for the other residents these residents that now all the other residents had it. We just had 300 people at Father the Ferry outside. There was no problems. You were away on your little sabbatical with it. Took away. I have the numbers. Tim Burke has the numbers and Liz has the numbers. We have almost 100 employees vaccinated. You put in the email that you had no idea who's vaccinated. I have that crime. Myself and Deb Morissette ran these vaccine clinics. If you needed to know that, you could have asked us.
I
We
don't know
went
what you're
through
doing.
2 years.
Excuse me?
We went through 2 years, almost 2 years of this. We lost a coworker. We lost another coworker, passed away for cancer. We lost 5 employees that retired this year. This is something that we all like to get together and do this. And to take this away, a lot of us don't get to see each other every day. We're outside sharing a hamburger and a hot dog. What is that dangerous? The residents like it, they enjoy it. I'd like to plead if you can reconsider it.
Have you considered making it not mandatory? And
No.
people could stay at their desk if they chose not to go, and those employees who chose to go could go? Or I guess my other question would be, if it's not being canceled at other locations, are you still going to have it here for the O'Brien residents?
Under the guise that it would be voluntary to attend, yes, versus mandatory. So,
It's just options.
Right. And I will consider that. I think that could be a viable solution to make it voluntary to attend.
Would that be for employees too, or just?
No, that's what I'm referring to. Mary was referring to for the staff, to not make it a mandatory attendance. So that's what I'll be looking at. Because right now it is voluntary for the residents,
Residents.
obviously.
Right.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to see it canceled for the residents as well.
No, agreed.
So let me just be clear, that means that employees would be allowed to go?
I'm going to consider that tomorrow, Dave.
Okay, anything else as an update?
No.
Okay,
that's it.
perfect. Okay, moving on to new business, modernization. Item A is permission.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Can I just say one more? You said you got an email about it? Because the reason I'm asking so many questions is I just heard about it. I didn't get it.
I did Friday afternoon,
I didn't
late
get it.
Friday.
Was that to all of us? Or was that-
No, I just
Okay.
informed the
All right.
chairwoman.
Well, I'd like to be informed on that, on things like that.
Okay. I'll note that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item A is permission to advertise for bids for mold remediation Phase 2 at Sunset Hill. The recommended action is approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item B is certificate of substantial completion for the roof replacement at Oak Grove Avenue / Bullitt Street, 689-4, DHCD number 0095172. Recommended action is approval. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item C is a change order number 1 for roof replacement at Oak Grove Avenue / Bullitt Street, 689-4, DHCD 095172. The change order number 1 is a credit of $1,272 for unused plywood. There is no change in the contract time. Recommended action is approval.
Move for adoption.
Second?
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item D is certificate of final completion for roof replacement at Oak Grove Avenue / Bullitt Street, 689-4, DHCD 0951172. Recommended action is approval.
Move for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item E is the contract award for bathroom renovations at Sunset Hill, Heritage Heights, and Father DeFarias Village. The recommended action here is to award to the low bidder, Dennis Contracting, in the amount of $636,700, which includes four alternates.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Was that a second, Roger? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you,
Roger.
sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item F is a change order number 1 for a fire alarm control panel upgrades at Cardinal Medeiros Towers and Nicholas W. Mitchell Heights. The change order number 1 is an increase in the amount of $5,302.46 for 4 items. There is no change to the contract time. The recommended action is approval.
Move for adoption.
Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself from this.
Okay.
Second?
Any questions regarding this change order? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item G is a contract award for emergency replacement of underground gas lines and service meters at Maple Gardens, DHCD 095183. The recommended action is to award the contract to the lone bidder, Gillian Plumbing and Heating Services Incorporated, in the amount of $21,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions with regard to this contract? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 2 is miscellaneous. Item A is an open meeting law complaint filed by Patrick Higgins. The recommended action is the response from our council. So it's just for information. Item B is Maple Gardens National Grid Underground Easement Agreement. The recommended action is approval of the grant easement, and you have that easement in your packet.
Move for adoption.
Second?
Any questions with regard to the easement? Item 3 is personnel. A is a painter's position. Recommended action is to approve the in-house posting due to a retirement.
Motion to approve?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item B is Assistant Director of Leased Housing position. The recommended action is to ratify the appointment of Maria Alphonse, or Alphonse.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item C is the Leased Housing Clerical Staff Supervisor position. The recommended action is to approve the updated job description.
for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item D is the Public Housing Inspector. This is a new position. The recommended action is approval.
And if I may,
Director Barrows, yes,
we've
please.
talked about this for a couple years, and we looked at it in a little more detail. We really think that having a specific person responsible for the unit inspections would go a long way to bettering our REAC scores and to bettering our operations in terms of maybe reducing certain costs, maintenance expenses, administrative costs. So this position, which a few housing authorities have, is responsible for inspecting all the units, whether they're occupied or vacant, when they're getting ready to be leased up, if there's any housing violations, to go in and make sure the work gets done. They will enter the work orders that need to be done. The last report I have, this will show some of the need for it, is we had 4,700 defects. Some were very obvious, but that's like 2 per unit. You know, some were like doors were broken, peeling paint. But we had things, you know, smoke detectors, some missing handles, what else, leaking faucets. So I talked with New Bedford Housing, and a lot of these issues severely get curtailed once you have someone always looking, always going in. We currently have a contractor that we pay about $18,000 a year who goes in once annually to the units. And this is done over a period of a couple weeks. So, you know, it's an all-out front by the agency, so it's, you know, it's really doesn't take the time to go through a unit and to follow up and to give the staff the feedback and work between management and maintenance. So, you know, both Deb Morissette, our management director, and Ed Majewski, the facilities director, really think this one position will hold both the departments and their staffs. So if you'd like to hear some more from them, but what our plan is then to come back to you next meeting with an actual position description, salary range, and then we would post it, and then if no one in-house met the needs or the requirements of that position, then we would advertise.
Would anyone like to hear from Ed or Deb with regard to the need for this position?
Yeah, I would briefly, if you don't mind.
Sure,
Ed,
please.
Deb.
Okay, so currently our management staff does all the inspections. What we're looking for a position where someone will be consistent with all the inspections and also to follow up. By following up, I mean issuing the work orders, making sure that they are processed. Also for residents who are repeated violators with violations, especially when it comes to damages, is to help us in evicting that person if we need to. Also testifying at grievance hearings as to the conditions of the unit. We do feel that if we have someone trained specifically in all the new Inspire standards, that would help us tremendously with our REACT scores.
And also, I believe that doing more inspections in the units, on the problem units, would save us substantial money and also time in the units. We've just got done doing a couple of units that were 35 or 40 days of rehab in them because they had so much damage in them. I think once we have a unit that's under the radar, per se, that we can actually inspect it more often, I think that stops some of the damage, and we could curtail it instead of letting it go to the point where when they move out, that it takes us a month and a half to fix it. I think it's a good idea.
Can I ask a question? So how many units is this person going to be inspecting?
They would inspect our whole portfolio, which is, I believe, about 2,400 units.
State and federal.
They would do so many a month, or say one property. they would do one property and then go back. We're not really sure if we're gonna do it on the anniversary date or when they moved in, or if we're gonna just do it annually by property.
So you think they might do one property a month, or, like, it seems like it's a lot of work for one person.
It is, but it depends, like, if on a elderly apartment, it may take 5 minutes to inspect. A 4-bedroom unit may take 20 to 30 minutes, depending on, the condition of the unit. So they're gonna, going through an elderly site is a breeze, but of course the family developments are a lot more work. There's a lot more to check.
Some back of the envelope numbers is, if you do 10 units a day in the morning, you'll be able to go through the whole portfolio in a year. So, as Deb gave some time estimates, you can actually do more than 10, but that allows for plenty of time for follow-up inspections and to address some of these other concerns. So I think it'll get done, and again, our contractor, Deb, does them all in, what, 2 weeks, 3
No,
weeks?
it's about 6 weeks.
6
but,
weeks?
he just zooms right through them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
It's very
part of
quick.
the problem, yeah, I think. So I don't think it's
So
going to be,
these are occupied units they're inspecting?
Yes.
so there'll be, and this will all have to be worked out if they actually send out the notices. Probably not, probably the managers would still do that, give them a list, because that has to happen now, notification.
I like the idea. I think it's a great idea. What I'd like to ask, I guess, is that if this, if everybody else is in agreement and they think it's a great idea and it gets up and going, that after a couple of months, I'd like to actually have you come back and tell us how it's going. It's just, I know the units from working in them for years. And you're right, some you can blink your eyes right through and they're perfect, and some are not. And so if you can get through the units, that's great, but now you may have multiple visits back to some units, right, to check.
Yes.
So I think
If
we'd
I
like to
could just
see how
sneak
it's
up on
going.
that.
I could see this as being 2 people down the road or something
Yeah,
like that,
agree.
because of the number of units. So,
So just to give you an example, Bates and Tower, before we had USIG set up to go in, we did it as we got notified we were going to be having REACT inspections there. It took our staff, and I'm talking about the director of, director of buildings, 4 days to do Bates and Tower completely, which was what we usually do at USIG, but we went through and made sure we had everything ready for the REACT inspection, and that building itself took about 4 days to do, because it's not a bad building.
right, but then I'm
Yeah.
thinking of some of the family sites, like some of the larger
Oh,
ones are gonna
I
take
agree.
you could spend, a month trying to get through half, so. I like the idea, I think it's a great idea, I would just like to see, once it's up and running, just get a little feedback.
Maybe we should table it and get more information on it.
Oh, I think right now we're looking to see if we want to come back with a job description, right, next
Correct.
time?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what's on tonight's agenda.
I would think too, the rechecks would be mostly the sanitation issues. And then there would be a few that, if we knew that the damages was severe, that we would have to go back. And we're talking about units that would have like 3 busted doors, or not just normal, wear and tear or something minor, that they would have to go back and check. It would just be the problematic ones, and we really don't have that many. They're far and few between.
The only other thing though, too, with USIG, you do get a detailed report of all the deficiencies in preparation for REACT, correct?
Yes, we do.
So
Yeah.
it lists all what a potential REACT inspector would be looking for. So it is a descriptive report, right, that they give us.
Turned into work orders, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume we would get something similar from the employee.
But this inspector would go in, come up with a list of deficiencies, write the work orders, and go back and check to make sure the work orders are completed?
No,
No.
no.
But somebody's going back to check to make sure they're completed, or,
Maintenance at that point, was repairing the problem, ones. And turn-
And-
as
and
you'd
you'd
be able
close
to-
out the work
you'd be
order.
able to look up and see if they're completed through the work order system. The ones that I would want to get re-inspected would be the problem units, which are not really, they're not a lot of them compared to the whole portfolio.
But I think there's room to, again, explore the position description. Following up to make sure the work is done is a good QC on the maintenance staff, and eventually could, see if there's a specific problem area. So it's something we could take into consideration, definitely.
Well, at this point, what is on this evening's agenda is to create the new position, so I have to agree, you all have work to do in terms of creating the position, writing the job description, and getting back to us before we move forward.
Okay.
Because if we okay a job description, that doesn't mean that we approve that we're going to hire somebody.
That's correct. That's correct. We first need to at least create a position.
All right, so next month we'll have a job description for you,
Certainly. So,
review, and hopefully approve.
so the motion on the table this evening is just to create the position.
I make a motion to create a position.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second motion, a second to create the position? Motion fails to carry then.
Are we able to bring this back up next meeting?
Yes.
That's why I wanted to, I make a motion to table it.
Okay, well, we'll provide the job description next meeting, and we can revisit this. I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay, moving on, item E.
Thank
You're welcome. Item E, working out of classification. The recommended action is to ratify the appointment of Allison Fager as temporary property manager beginning on July 22nd, 2021. Do I have a motion to ratify the appointment?
Motion to ratify.
Second?
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Underhill?
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tache?
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi?
Yes. Item F is proposed wage increase for units A and B for Asthma Council 93, Local 1990. The recommended action is the approval of a 2% wage increase plus a one-time payment of 0.5% of wages in effect on 3/31/2021, retroactive to April 1st, 2021.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Do we need roll call?
If you want to.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item G, proposed wage increase for non-union and grant employees. The recommended action is approval of a 2% wage increase plus a one-time payment of 0.5% of wages in effect on March 31st, 2021, retroactive to April 1st, 2021. This is the non-union and grant employees. Do I have a motion?
Move for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item H is the request for board review from public housing resident. The recommended action here is anticipated executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, to discuss the complaints of an individual. And I will do all of the executive sessions at the same time.
We could do the second one if we yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Actually, in that second one,
The
there's...
second one, you would have to declare that
We don't have an update on the second one, so there's no need to go into executive session for the second item.
Okay.
So you want to table the second matter in open session right now?
So first matter, we will go into executive session to discuss the strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Item I is Watuppa Height litigation update, and we will be tabling this matter as we have no update from the director. So item A, do we have a motion to table the Watuppa Heights litigation update?
Motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, we'll be going into executive session. Need a motion to go back into open session?
Second.
Motion to go back into open session.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other business to come in front of us this evening? Hearing no business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.